Okay, so just coming to sit. And if it's comfortable for you, then you can just cross your legs, as long as your knees are lower down than your hips. And if sitting like this isn't comfortable for you, and for lots of people it isn't, then you can just come to sit on your heels and pop a cushion in between your heels and your buttocks so that you can sit more comfortably, and that just takes a little bit of weight and pressure off. So just find whichever version of that feels good to you. And let's just sit for a minute as well. So adjusting so that you're comfortable. Imagine that you are just lifting up through the front of the body, so your breastbone is lifted. You can roll your shoulders a couple of times, forwards and back. And then just let your hands naturally rest. Taking a deep breath in through the nose and a long, slow breath back out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And again. Take your left hand to your belly, your right hand to your heart center, so just over the breastbone. And for a few moments, let's just tune into the breath, closing the eyes. You might notice the rhythm of your heartbeat underneath your upper hand. And notice any sensations underneath your lower hands. If you can feel your baby moving or wriggling. Maybe you feel nothing there under your hands, but you can feel your baby from the inside. And if it's too early for you to feel any movement at all, that's also just fine. Just resting in that space. With each out breath, you can sigh, just releasing, relaxing through the shoulders. And just imagine sending lots of love from your heart all the way down to your baby. Just letting them know in your mind, this is your yoga time, your special time together. And then setting an intention for tonight's class, whether that's just to go with the flow, to have a really lovely night's sleep, or just to enjoy whichever way your body wants to move and express itself tonight. And releasing the out breath, letting your hands drop back down to your knees and inhaling to open them up overhead. Exhaling to draw the hands down to the heart, pausing at the heart and then lowering over your bump, right along the thighs, back up along the outside of the thighs and inhaling up. Exhaling down, pausing at the heart, smoothing over your bump, right along the insides of the thighs, back up the outsides, inhaling up. Nice wide arms, feeling that lovely big stretch. You can push the heels of the hands up to the ceiling, reach up slightly more with one side and then the other. If you're thinking you can't reach any higher, just imagining there's a winning lottery ticket just above. Everybody finds an extra inch or so. And releasing down with the out breath to the heart. Smoothing over your bump. Right along the insides of the thighs, back up the outsides. And reaching up. Turning the fingers to face up towards the ceiling so you can interlace through the hands and not making it too tight. If your fingers feel swollen or a bit achy, just you can interlace the tips of the fingers, stretching all the way up. Lifting up through the breastbone and letting your shoulders drop back down behind you. Inhaling again. As you exhale, stretching across to the right. Inhaling to the center. Exhaling left. Inhaling to the center. Exhaling to the right. Inhaling to the center. Exhaling left. Inhaling to the center. Exhaling to the right. Inhaling to the center. And exhaling left. And back to the center, releasing your hands down, giving the hands a little shake. Sometimes even just a few moments with the arms up when you're pregnant can feel like quite a lot. So just shaking and releasing. If you're cross-legged, you can just swap your legs around the other way around. It might feel a bit unnatural, but it's better for your pelvis to retain that sense of balance. On your exhale, dropping your chin to your chest. Just leaving the head resting there as you breathe in and out. Inhaling back to the center. Exhaling again, dropping chin to chest. Inhaling to the center. And again, exhaling, chin to chest. Inhaling to the center. Exhaling right ear towards right shoulder. Inhaling to center. Exhaling left ear to left shoulder. Inhaling to center. And twice more to each side, just allowing your movement to match your breath. So not feeling like you have to chase the speed that I'm going at. Just allowing yourself to move in whichever way feels right. And as always, if something doesn't feel right, don't do it, or just do a softer version of it. Always listening to your body. And back to center. Just allowing your nose and your chin to make a figure of 8. Feeling all the little popping and crackling in the neck, just to release, to relax. Still being aware of the coolness of the breath as it enters in through the nostrils, and the warmth of the breath as you breathe back out through the nose. And slowing that movement down even more, all the way back to the center. Taking the fingertips to the shoulders, inhaling to lift up through the elbows, exhaling to squeeze between the shoulder blades, lowering the elbows down, inhaling up, exhaling down, and continuing. Really feeling that sense of expansion through the chest, lifting through the diaphragm. And let's swap to the opposite direction, inhaling back and down. And releasing, letting your hands just rest wherever they naturally fall. You might find yourself gravitating to your bum or just resting on the sides of your legs, whichever feels more comfortable for you. Just closing your eyes or gazing down towards the ground if it's not comfortable for you to close your eyes. And let's just focus on the breath, noticing the natural inhale, the tiny pause that happens at the top of the breath before you start to exhale, and the tiny pause before you breathe in again. And just following that natural rhythm of your breath, just noticing the pause that happens all by itself, no need to alter it. And then whenever you're ready, you can begin to just lengthen your exhalation. So you can do this by counting in your mind up to 4. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4. And breathing out, 3, 4. Breathing in. And let's begin to lengthen your exhale. You're breathing in to a count of 4. And breathing out longer than the 4. So you can move up towards 8 on your out breath. Or if you're just at a 5, a 6, or a 7, that's perfect as well. So just breathing into a rhythm of roughly 4. And out to anything that's longer than 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, just working with your own breath, your own counting, so you're not trying to match mine. So you're breathing in to a count of 4 and breathing out to longer than the 4. You can breathe in and out through the nose or just in through the nose and out through the mouth. Again, just find what feels good. And if you're breathing out through the mouth, just allowing the lips to be really, really soft, really gentle. So it's just as though the air is just having a tiny little exit, which naturally helps you to lengthen the exhale. And this is the breathing rhythm that we recommend for the up stage of labor, your first stage of labor while you're having your contractions. It tends to be the longer stage of labor. And by using this breath, it really helps you just to relax, to let go, to release. So as I mentioned at the start of class, we're going to introduce some movement with that breath. But for now, we're just practicing that breath in a static position. And then just begin to let go of that breath, returning back to your normal rhythm. Knowing that it's perfectly normal. If that makes you feel slightly giddy or a little bit, ooh, that's a bit strange. If you haven't done much breath work before, it can be quite an interesting introduction. And then just bringing yourself back. So opening your eyes once more if they've been closed. You can just reach your hands out behind you, fingers pointing forwards. Arch through the shoulders, so your chest rising up. Have a lovely big stretch across the front. And then just release back up. Stretch your legs out if you've been cross-legged, or even if you've been sitting on your heels, just stretching them out. And let's just circle through the ankles. I'll do this sideways so you can see what's going on. So just circling through the ankles. Just make sure that if you have pins and needles, or if your feet feel a little bit like they need some circulation, this helps you try to look after them. This is also really good if you find yourself with puffy feet or ankles. And then push through your heels, bringing your toes back towards the face. And relax the feet. And again, pushing through the heels, toes towards the face. And relax. And then let's windscreen wiper the feet side to side. If there's anything that's happened today that you would like to let go of or erase, just imagine your windscreen wipers rubbing it out. Whatever that might be, a fleeting thought, burnt toast, flat tire, anything you'd like to just let go of. Just releasing and relaxing. And let go. And we're going to come up to be on our knees. So just taking your time, let each little bit of your movement be like a yoga practice in itself, so that you're not rushing to get from A to B. And when we come into cat position, so with cats, we have our wrists underneath our elbows, underneath our shoulders. We're nicely stacked up, and our knees underneath our hips. Now, it is useful to have a cushion underneath your knees or a blanket, particularly as your pregnancy progresses, because you do have extra weight on your knees. It's just nice to support them. And I don't need one because I'm on a really thick carpet, but if you want underneath, and if you are on a yoga mat, then you can just bunch your yoga mat up, pull it back in, and then kneel on the higher bit so that you've got that extra space there. It's the cheats trick to having that extra padding. And then while we're here, let's just begin to take the buttocks back towards the heels and circle forwards. So you're just rotating round, freeing up through the pelvis. If you need to have your knees wider to accommodate your bump as you come back, then do that too. Just let your head and neck be loose. Again, listening to your own body. How does your body want to move right now? And let's go the opposite way. Taking your buttocks back towards the heels, just pop down onto your forearms and gently rotate through the wrists, so we're supporting the wrists as well. You get lots of extra relaxin, that lovely hormone that helps everything to soften in preparation for birth, but you do have lots of it throughout your pregnancy, so sometimes we just find our joints become a little bit more unstable, so it's just good to really work to support everything. And then replacing your hands back down and coming back in, taking your knees back to underneath your hips. And while we're here for a moment, just staying in this position, just notice what's happening in your body. So if I was, in fact, I will. Let me just show you. It's easy for, you know that your bump is there, but sometimes unless you actually see it, it's harder to get an idea of what's happening while you're here. So you can sit back on your heels for a second if you want to. If I have Look how quickly that happened. So if I'm on here, you can see just how much my bump would be pulling down towards the ground. Now, even just having that weight in the front of my belly, my bump's probably a bit more mobile than yours. You can see that this part of my back is also dipping down, and that takes quite a lot of strain onto your back and weight onto your back. It's also not good for the abdominal muscles at the front, which they can stretch and separate. And that's when you end up with a gap at the front of your abdominal muscles and that kind of kangaroo pouch. So what we're looking to do, even while we're here, is to imagine that we're hugging baby back in. So you can see if I'm completely sagging there, everything's just loose. And then as I breathe in, I just hug baby back up in towards me and relax. And now the secret is to breathe normally. And as you exhale, hug baby back up. So you'll automatically see that as I do that, that gap, that curve at my lower spine straightens out. So that both, excuse the boy racer, that both supports my lower back and also means that I support these abdominal muscles at the front. So I will get rid of this for ease for now. A use for a meditation cushion you didn't know you had. So coming back into your position, just breathing in like normal. And as you breathe out, just practice hugging your baby back up towards you. So you're literally just engaging some of your core muscles and imagine that you're hugging your baby right back into your body. And you should feel that nice support at the lower spine. And again, just practice that a few times. So inhaling, everything like normal. Exhaling, hugging your baby back up towards you. And just that awareness can really help you to make the most of this position, which is a great way to make extra space for your baby, but also make sure that you're not straining your own body. So now let's introduce the cat pose. So we are breathing in without going anywhere. As we breathe out, hugging your baby back up towards you, beginning to arch up through the spine. So rippling up from the lower spine all the way up towards the head and the neck and dropping the head and neck down. Inhaling to send the tailbone away. Coming back to look forwards. Exhaling, hugging baby up towards you, rippling up through the spine. Head and neck drop down. And going the opposite direction, sending the tailbone away, rippling the energy up through the spine, head and neck up. And continuing to go in each direction. So you're inhaling, letting your movement match the whole of your inhale, tailbone away. Balancing out through the spine. And exhaling, hugging baby up towards you, rippling up through the spine, head and neck loose. If at any point this feels like it's too much stress or pressure on your wrists, you can also just drop down onto your forearms. You can still enjoy the movement from here. Or if that doesn't feel comfortable, you can also do it just resting on your fists. Again, just find what feels good so that you're stretching and strengthening and lengthening all the right parts of the body without creating discomfort anywhere else. And then releasing your hands back down. Breathing in on your exhalation, just sending the right foot out behind you. So toes pressing down, heel away, getting a nice big stretch up the back of the calves. Hopefully this will help with some of the cramp that's been going on too. Still breathing in and out while you're here. And then bringing the right knee back in. Exhaling to send the left foot away, stretching back through the heel. And bringing the left knee back in. This time, let's send the right foot away. If it feels good to you, you've got two options here. You can raise the left hand out in front of you, keeping the right toes, the toes of the right foot down, or if you want to, and it feels good, then lift up the opposite leg. Again, go with what feels right for you at your stage of pregnancy. This is safe at all stages, but just finding what feels good. And exhaling to release, bringing the opposite knee back in. Exhaling to send away the opposite toes on the left foot, extending through the right arm. And again, if it feels good, on an exhalation, hug your baby in, lift up through the back leg. And we're looking to keep the hips nice and level. So we're not looking for this or for this. We're just looking to be nice and level. And swap back down. If it feels good, continuing once more to each side. On your exhale, hugging baby up and lifting the back leg. And lowering knee and hand. And last time to the left, sending the foot away. And if it's comfortable, on your exhale, lifting up. And releasing back down. Again, taking the knees wide. Let's just swoop round in a circle. Knowing that all of these movements are ideal for an active labour. Not so much the tiger with the stretched out leg behind you, but this one. And cat, really allowing the body just to flow however it wants to. Helps to spread out the energy from around the hips. Creates up to 30%. That number still blows my mind. 30% more space in your pelvis than if you're just lying on a bed. 30% more space gives your baby a lot of room to be able to move. Lovely. And then just coming back to the center, walk your hands back. Extending your right leg out in front of you. Just coming into that gentle lunge position, making sure that your knee is over your ankle. And if you're rocking forwards and back, that your knee stays over that ankle is the best place for it. Again, making sure that your hips are facing forwards. It's nice to just stretch up. Interlace the fingers, sending them up overhead. And exhale, releasing them back. You can take hold of the opposite wrist either way and stretch out through the shoulders. Just noticing if your chin juts forward. If it does, just bring it back. Nice big squeeze between the shoulders. Lovely. And relax. And then from here, you can place both hands to the inside of your right foot. Again, just experiment with how this feels for you, or you can have one to either side of the foot. See what feels good. I prefer mine to the inside, but for the sake of showing you, I'll keep my hands out the way. We're just rocking forwards and back. So a nice way to imagine when you start to do this is that you are pulling your back leg, the hip of the back leg forwards and the front hip back so that your hips are again aligned. You're not coming off at a funny angle. And then just allowing yourself to rock as gently as feels good. We're just opening up through the body. If it feels more comfortable for you to be slightly more upright rather than on your wrists, then you can just have your hands nice and free by your sides, or you can also lift your arms up overhead. Gives you a slightly more strenuous version. Again, just allowing yourself to rock. When you're here, this also helps to lift up to the diaphragm, creating some much needed space for your lungs. But if that's not comfortable, you can rest your hands on the front thigh. And then lower your hands down to the ground, tuck the toes off the back leg, and just walk your hands back so you're getting a stretch through that front foot. You can send the heel away. If it's more comfortable for you to have the back toes down, then have them down. Stretching out through that front foot, taking the toes up towards you. And again, walking forwards into a gentle lunge. And back. And forwards into that lunge. And just replace that front leg to the back and swap over, bringing the left foot forwards. Again, taking your time just to check where is my knee in relation to my ankle. Making sure it's just aligned and rocking forwards and back. Noticing if there's a difference between the two sides. Sometimes one side feels really comfortable, the other side feels really strange. Sometimes one side is very flexible, the other not so much. So just finding what's true for you. And again, going with what feels good to you and your baby. You can either have your hands resting onto that upper knee, or if you prefer taking the arms up overhead, you can either stretch them all the way up or just have them palms facing. This is really good for pelvic mobility and also just for opening up, relaxing through the hips. Simple movements that do so much good. You don't need to go complicated. And let's release the hands down if they're up and back down to the floor. And taking your front leg backwards, you can stretch up through the toes towards the face. And again, walking the hands forwards and back and forwards and back. Just sighing through the out breath, releasing, letting go. And again. This time staying at the front of your mat. Taking your hands just in front of that left foot. Breathing in. And as you breathe out, just taking your back leg forwards. You might need to come out to the side to accommodate your bump as well. Let your head and your neck hang loose. Bend deeply through the knees. Let's take the hands to just above the knees. Walking the hands up the thighs. Begin to uncurl through the spine. Uncurling through the head and the neck. And again, let's walk the hands back down. Just down the fronts of the shins and back up again. Nice and slow, and back down. Release your hands down. You can take hold of the opposite elbow. It's perfectly good to bend through your knees here as well. Just let your head and your neck hang loose. You can give a little nod of the head and a shake of the head. This helps the neck to just let go. And then release your hands. Let's walk the hands back up. And then bend deeply through the knees. Let your elbows just rest onto the tops of the thighs, just above the knees. Head still hanging loose. And then let's take the hands to rest just above the knees. I'm going to turn around so you can see this from both sides. While we're here, I'm just going to take a deep breath in. On my exhale, dropping the right shoulder to the center, looking up over my left shoulder, and as an option, straightening up through my left hand to increase that twist through the spine. It's a lovely stretch through the spine, perfectly safe stretch for pregnancy. And back to the center. To the other side, dropping the left shoulder in, looking up over the right and stretching up through the left arm. And releasing. So you don't want to be pressing on the kneecap, but just above. And then going side to side. Say hello to your bump on the way past. Hello, baby. Again, really working with your breath, letting your breath guide your movement. So you are naturally going with the flow of your breath, always matching your movement to the breath, not the other way around. And we'll do one more to the left. So finishing whenever you're next to your left-hand side, looking up over the left shoulder. Coming back to the center, walking your hands all the way up your thighs, bend deeply into the knees. Taking your arms up overhead. And exhaling, just releasing them all the way back down. So now let's take the hands to the hips. I'll have a quick drink of water. I've probably cut a bit of my head out, so let me move the camera as well. Occupational hazard of being 5'9". Okay, so taking your hands to your hips, let's just begin to make a really nice wide hip circle. And now if you feel comfortable with the up breathing that we did at the beginning, let's just start to introduce that now. So first of all, just moving with your awareness. Also just being aware of your regular breath. And whenever it feels good, and it might not feel good for you tonight, so just allow yourself to experiment. Just begin to breathe into your count of 4 and exhale to longer, allowing yourself to move. So you might be inhaling through your nose to 4, exhaling through your mouth or your nose to 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. Not worrying about the shape of your circle or where you are within your circle when you're breathing. You're just experimenting and exploring the breath that you will want to use throughout your contractions, but with movement. You might notice, for those of you who have done Ujjayi breath before, the one that sounds a bit like Darth Vader, I tend to naturally go to that breath. So if you can hear my breathing really deep, that's why. Well, you don't need to worry about that one for now. I'm just focusing on exhaling for longer than you're inhaling. You can change the direction of your circle at any point, going slowly before you do change. And then still breathing in for 4 and breathing out for longer. Noticing if there's a natural way that you've come to with your movement. So without even planning to, while I'm doing this, I'm breathing in while I'm upright. And a much slower, longer release as I move down on the out breath. If it's more comfortable for you to have your hands on your bump, please do. You can even just let your hands be completely free. You get to pull all these funny moves and shapes when you're pregnant, and nobody will dare question you as to why. Because you want to and you need to, and your baby told you to. So just allowing yourself to go with that breath. And then returning to your regular breath, you can step your feet in slightly. Begin to just move your hips in a figure of 8. Again, this is really useful for during your surges. Your surges being your contractions. We tend to call them surges in hypnobirthing. This just helps to move the energy, helps to create more space in the pelvis. Helps to make you feel super sexy, and that helps with everything. And then just going in the opposite direction. If you are not sure which direction you just went in, trying one direction and then just swapping over if it was the same one. Hands can be on your bump or to your hips to your side. Just going with the flow. And slowing that movement back down into the center. Stepping the feet slightly closer together and releasing your hands down. Let's slightly turn the toes of the right foot out to a 45-degree angle. And then just let your arms flop round. You can lift the opposite heel off the ground from whichever direction you're going in. This supports your knee. And you can also bend your knees as you come past the center and straightening and lengthening through the body as you come up. Letting your arms just flop round. So you'll notice if I turn here, one naturally just taps onto my kidneys at the lower back, the opposite one onto the top of the upper arm. And this natural tap onto the kidneys is really stimulating for the kidneys. Your kidneys have got lots of work to do in producing and growing a baby. All that extra amniotic fluids, everything that's going on. So it's good just to give them that support. And then let's start just to slow down. Taking your left hand to your bump, your right hand to your heart center. Closing your eyes once more. Just tuning into the rhythm of your heart underneath your upper hand. Doing whatever feels natural with your lower hand, gentle stroking of your bump, whichever direction feels good. Just letting them know that you're here and that we're going to come into relaxation in a moment. This is often the time that your baby will spring into action, even if they've been quiet up until now. And then we're going to come into a comfortable position for your relaxation. So opening your eyes and really slowly lowering yourself back down, rubbing any extra layers that you need to for warmth. And if you haven't done one of these relaxations with me before, I'll just demonstrate to you how we like you to have the cushions for your comfort. And then you're welcome to recreate this in whichever way you can for now. So we always come to lie on your left side, just good practice right from the beginning. So again, lying down on your left side with your left ear resting on the pillow, putting one cushion between your knees and also one between your ankles so it keeps everything nice and balanced. You can then also have a bolster or a large cushion, or if you're on the floor and you can lie up against the side of your bed or a sofa, it's really nice just to have that support there. And your top hands can be resting on the top hip, keeps the heart space open, or it can just be resting down on the ground, wherever feels good. And as you get more into your pregnancy, you can also place another cushion underneath your bump so that your bump feels nice and supported. And always have a lovely blanket for comfort and luxury. So just making yourself comfortable now. If it's not comfortable to be lying flat on your back, then you can sit up as well. But we tend to find people cannot wait to get down flat on your onto your side. So as always, these relaxations have a hypnotic element to them. So just making sure that if you need to go anywhere after this class, if you're driving or if you're going back to work, if you're watching the replay, then just making sure that you take your time to really feel grounded and more comfortable. Okay, so closing your eyes whenever you're ready. Taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. And a long, slow sigh back out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose. And a long, slow sigh back out through the mouth. For the next 3 to 4 breaths, just allowing the body to soften with each in-breath and out-breath. Just noticing how the body feels. And then if your eyes are closed, just gently opening them once more. Focusing on a spot just a few inches in front of you. And as you feel your eyelids becoming heavier, beginning to close your eyes once more. Opening the eyes and closing the eyes. This indicates to your body to go deeper into relaxation. Noticing your breathing, the gentle rise and fall of your belly as you slowly breathe in and just as slowly breathe back out. You might choose to rest a hand onto your bump and consciously connect with your baby. Or wherever your hands are resting, just taking your thoughts, your mind to your baby. Noticing the natural rhythm of your own breath. And this is a soothing rhythm that your baby becomes more and more used to in each and every moment. Your baby feeling the rise and fall of your belly, the sound of your circulation pumping nutrients and oxygen all around, the muffled sounds that enter your day, all of them creating an internal background, a soundtrack to their growing life. As your pregnancy continues to progress well, your baby becoming more aware of his or her surroundings, and you are tuning into your baby, feeling the sensations whenever the time is right of your baby gently moving or turning. Your baby's way of communicating with you and letting you know that he or she is there. Your baby learning your routines, knowing when you're active and resting, knows when you are busy. Beginning to learn day and night from the level of activity within your body. Your baby within you and with you. Safe and warm in natural darkness. Supported and suspended in the warmth. A perfect home until your baby is ready to be born. As days turn into weeks, your baby continuing to develop and grow. The sensations you feel within your belly increasing. The kicking, the squirming, the stretching. Perhaps you're already noticing more movement from your baby when you talk. And so your baby is responding to the sound of your voice, the voices around you, the sounds of your home. And whenever you are busy and moving, you sense that you're gently rocking your baby into quiet time, already intuitively knowing how to soothe and comfort. Mothering feeling so natural to you. Whenever your hand automatically finds itself resting on your bump, you're aware of any tiny sensations beneath your hand. All these internal signs filling your baby's day. The signs in your room of your beating heart, the pumping of blood through your veins, the muffled sounds. Whenever you travel in the car, your baby soothed and rocked by the noises and the gentle motion. And whenever you practice your breathing techniques, breathing slowly in and out, your abdomen expanding and releasing. Your muscles gently and lovingly squeeze your baby when your tummy moves towards your back, as if you're already giving them a hug. All of these images starting to make you smile, creating a softness in your eyes, a gentle pinking of your cheeks. Starting to think of all the different things that you have done today, all the different movements, the different signs that your baby will have been exposed to. All of that personal soundtrack that you created for him or her today. And allow yourself to simply tune in to your breath, to stay with the natural rise and fall of the breath. Sensing all these images, all these happy thoughts of your baby as he or she grows and develops. Of all the ways you are already a team together. Your baby letting you know that he or she is well with a movement, a flutter, a gentle kick. And you sending that love, that breath, breathing for two all the way back down into your baby. And allowing yourself to rest in this quiet space for as long as feels comfortable. Knowing that whenever the time is right for you, not yet, but in a few moments, you can wiggle your fingers and your toes, beginning to stretch out. And just allow your hands to rest on your bump for a few more moments, letting your baby know how much you love them. And for now, wishing you a beautiful big night's sleep. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Lots of love to you and your tiny treasures. Talk to you in the group. Bye bye for now.